Twisted Travelers Podcast, your weekly dose of theme park news and entertainment. And now, here to talk all things coasters, theme parks, and even more, here are your hosts, Jack Lathrop and Chris Jones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Twisted Travelers Podcast. As always, I am Chris, and I am joined by my co-host, Jack. Jack, how's it going?
It's going good tonight. How are you?
I am doing fine after a long night of trivia last night, but a fun
Yeah,
night at that.
last night was crazy. So if you were following along on our Twitter, did you post any last night, or was it just me?
It was just you.
It was just, okay. If you were following along on my
thinking.
Twitter, yes. Hey, I had like multiple pieces of paper, like with score. I was keeping score on my own, so I could just it was a whole thing. Anyway. If you were paying attention on Twitter last night, you saw that we had a trivia night with our good friends. We had Bryant from Coaster 365, John Mike, who played on our team, the Drunk Riders, Coaster Cousins, Prairie Coasting, and Coasters and Brews. We all played trivia. It went on for like 3 hours. It was amazing. We got to give a huge shout out to Bryant for setting that whole thing up. Like, hats off to you. That was amazing. We loved it.
We will do it again.
Yes, we're going to do it again. And we definitely, after the success of last night, I think we're probably going to try to get some more people involved. Let some of our listeners join in with us. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So again, thank you, Bryant. Thank you, everyone, for playing with us. If you're ever in our private Discord server and you see stuff that says Trivia Night, you'll know why all of that's there now.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking
of
Discord,
I just left it all there because I know we're going to do it again.
Yeah. Speaking of Discord, our Discord, make sure you join it. There will be a link in the description for the show, in the show notes, all that. You can easily join it there, and also Patreon. Make sure, if you're interested, obviously no pressure, but if you're interested, you can support us with Patreon. All that money goes towards the show, producing this, if you love us enough.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a few changes to some of the Patreon benefits. The first of which you'll hear at the end of the show. But there are benefits. You get stuff in the mail from us. You get a special thing on our Discord server. You get one of the little membership cards if you sign up before the end of March, which, I think that's a pretty cool perk. How many other Patreons do you know that send out membership cards?
I mean, if you join the highest level, there's a pretty cool membership card, just saying.
There is a really cool membership card if you join the highest level. And that if you do join our highest level, you get a membership card no matter what, because you're giving me enough money to where I can afford to get you a membership card no matter what. So, Anyway, enough rambling about Patreon. There's all the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Let's get into a fairly okay news week, starting off with probably the biggest thing that's happened this year so far. Californians, you're getting your theme parks back.
Congratulations to all of the Californians. So open to in-state first.
All 10 of you that listen to us.
Right. Indoor rides and dining will be limited. It's just great news that they're actually making some progress. Obviously, selfishly, I hope that sooner rather than later, it would open up to out-of-state people, considering we've seen a lot of other parks, actually successfully do that. I love that. I would love to go to California, but it's a good step.
I've already started like a little folder that says for California, and it's like, as soon as it's possible, booking a flight, flying to Los Angeles, getting a cart, and driving to Magic Mountain so I can ride X2. That is on the list of things to do in the next year because I miss X2 that much.
I mean, you want to invite me? I'll come. But yeah, that's obviously a great step, something that a lot of people have been waiting for. And it's here. So there's that. Next up, we have Wildcat at Frontier City is getting a new train from RMC. So I guess you could say it's getting RMC'd, even though it's not really. This is kind of weird. I didn't know RMC would do something like this. Interesting to see how the trains will end up and if it rides better with them, but who knows?
And so, okay, little little tangent about this one because I've heard it's popped up a bunch today about whether like what it's gonna be, and there was like, okay, RMC's doing it. Then someone said, oh no, it was a typo, and they meant to put PTC, and then they went back on that. It was like, no, it's gonna be RMC, but the trains are gonna be very similar to PTCs, using a similar restraint and mechanism and like dimensions and look, and they're copying PTC. And so that raises the questions like, since when does RMC just blatantly copy another company? This is all stuff I've heard on Instagram and Twitter today. None of it is like fact from the park. All we know is that the park put out Wildcat is getting a new train from RMC. Okay.
Yeah, little odd. I don't think anybody was expecting that. Nobody really knows what's going to come from it, but hopefully it ends up well. It doesn't end up like a lightning rod situation or anything like that. So, okay, next up, the new coasters coming to one of my home parks, SeaWorld. Icebreaker is close to opening. Maybe, who knows? It might just sit there, but yeah, you never know with Seas at this point. But the walls are down. I hope it opens soon. I
It
just want to
looks
ride
like it's
something
very
new.
close.
Well, anticipated opening in 2021. So, yeah.
Anticipated
SeaWorld
opening.
is the most confusing. I would not be surprised if you start seeing the demolition crew come out for Iron Gwazi next week so that they can go ahead and rebuild it for no apparent reason whatsoever.
Guys, they're gonna make it dueling now. We're finally gonna get the coaster we wanted.
Yeah, that seems that seems
Plausible.
like something SeaWorld would do at this point.
Like, legit, that seems like a plausible solution to the whole problem.
I don't know what else to say about SeaWorld at this point.
And with that
I
case,
will not understand them.
and with that, we're moving to Europe. Monster at Groenland has been slated for an April 24th open. The world's getting its next B&M invert with the old school trains and some really thick supports. So,
I want to go
good
to
for
Sweden.
them. That thing looks amazing, and I want to go to Sweden as well.
I want to go to Sweden so bad. It looks
Another
better than I
thing
was
out of
expecting.
it does look really, really good. I think it doesn't have the longest track length or like inversion some of these other
Think
inverts
about the
have,
near
Raptor,
misses, though.
but it's got near misses, and you know that thing is going to be intense because of how tight that layout is.
Yeah, I need it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Another thing, kind of going with the out of the left field stuff in the past week or so, Chance is apparently wanting to revisit the Hyper GTX and make it possible for it to do inversions.
Yeah, I love this. Me and Jack both like Lightning Run more than Storm Chaser, and give Chance a chance, please, because they've already done a fantastic job with like the
That might
one
be the
coaster.
episode title. That might be the episode title. Give Chance a chance.
They they did such a good job with Lightning Run. I don't understand why there hasn't been another bot. Hopefully there is soon. Wink, wink. And maybe with inversions, that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, okay, so I want to talk about this for a second because the concept they put out. I just want to walk through this logically. Minus the very obnoxious front car that is way too like long and already has a history of scraping rails. Okay, we need to chop that off if it's going to do inversions. End of discussion. But the trains they have already and the restraint system that train has on it is capable of going upside down. It's the same restraint as Steel Vengeance, Twisted Timbers, Zadra, Iron Gwazi. I mean, and it's almost an identical chassis too, just with a different body and wheel configuration to match a pipe instead of a flat piece of steel. So there's
Right.
no reason it couldn't already go upside down. Maybe this is just them trying to make it more marketable to everyone. I am not sure, but I agree. It comes up every single time we talk about Chance Hyper GTXs. Why aren't there more of them? Because that is one of the best roller coasters on the planet, and there's only one of them.
I mean, makes it all the more unique, but obviously we'd love to see more.
We'd love to see more, and we could go on about that all day. It's a whole episode of why is there not another Hyper GTX. Hopefully soon that changes. I will pilgrimage to whatever park gets one next. It will immediately shoot up my bucket list. So
Right. moving on to our next topic. IMAScore and Cedar Point are teaming up for something special. It's looking like we're going to get a custom soundtrack for Woodstock Express. I know everybody has been asking for this for quite a while now, and it looks like they're going to do it. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing. But for real, Cedar Point is teaming up with IMAScore. What do
Who
we want it to
knows?
be? What could it be? What do we want it to be? I know
It's
I made a tweet
obviously a
about it.
T-Rex.
It's obviously a T-Rex. I know I tweeted about it. But what do you? And I'll restate those opinions. But what do you want it to be?
Not Millennium Force, not Dragster. They already have good enough music. I
So
think Maverick would be pretty cool.
Dragsters is an original song, so there's no way. I could see them remixing Millennium Forces. I think the original has to stay, but I think a remix of that from IMAScore would be epic. But I think what I've been leaning towards, Frontier Town and Snake River Expeditions are getting a soundtrack.
I could see that. That'd be pretty cool to have the soundtrack for the whole area. If they went
Mm-hmm.
individually ride based, I think Maverick or Magnum would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Maverick's already kind of got just like a generic Wild West one, but I would love for it to have a custom soundtrack. Magnum go full on 80s, just nutty disco dance tech Daft Punk vibe. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I keep going back to this Frontier Town idea and just like a whole soundtrack for Frontier Town. And I know you haven't got. I don't think you've gotten to hear it yet because you haven't been to Kings Island. But Orion's soundtrack and the area around it, it takes that thing up to the next level because you'll walk in and it's the perfect hit as it's going up the lift hill and it's just perfect. And I can just imagine walking into Frontier Town, crossing the railroad tracks towards Steel Vengeance, and like the music swells and it goes racing past, and it would be the most epic feeling in the world.
Yeah, I can see it. Whatever they do, it's gonna be good, but nobody knows. I still hope for Woodstock Express though.
Oh yeah,
All
Woodstock
right.
Express. It's just gonna be a bunch of tweet, 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 tweet. That's gonna be the whole thing.
I mean, yeah, they definitely needed to hire IMAScore for that.
Yep, they couldn't
Okay,
have just paid me to.
our
Our day,
very
folks.
last news subject of the week: Energylandia going for the world's longest mine train award. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they? I mean,
Might as well.
just add on to it. Just add on to it.
Yeah, Energylandia, they just keep raising the bar, and they're about to take the record for most roller coasters, so it makes sense. Let's just have the world's longest mine train.
Exactly. I mean, they'll get a T-Rex too. So
This is
okay,
true.
and I think that does it.
Yep, that's news this week. Not much crazy happening. A little speculation. Who cares about this icebreaker? On the ride of the week. We're down to
I am
two.
making the wheel.
We're halfway through our bad Vekoma clones. This week we're choosing between the ever dreaded Vekoma Boomerang and the ever dreaded Vekoma Family Hang and Bang.
Welcome back to Wheel of Garbage. It is spinning right now. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, we're saving the kitty coasters for last. We are going with the Vekoma Boomerang.
Okay, let's get this out of the way right now. Whatever Chris is about to say, he is wrong, and Vertigo is an amazing ride.
You want to
Okay,
just
not
start
wrong.
from wherever you were?
Yeah, I paused it after I realized I'd stopped it, so.
Okay.
I was just trying to. I didn't want you yelling at me while I made my very accurate statement.
All right, go.
And Vertigo is an amazing ride.
And El Toro was bad.
Yep. Welcome to
See,
the club.
people like we had this argument not long ago. Who are you gonna trust? Who are you gonna trust? Who are you going to trust? The guy who says El Toro is bad. The guy who has Steel Vengeance outside of his top 30. The guy who doesn't like I-305. Or the person who is Time Traveler at number 1. That's like my only bad hot take, okay? Invertigo is not good. Invertigo is garbage.
And Vertigo is an amazing ride. You ride in that front row. It
That's
is
where I rode.
heavenly.
Nope.
It is heavenly. I've said this before. I will say it again. No visit to Kings Island is complete without a ride on Invertigo, and I will gladly ride Invertigo before I will ride Banshee.
See, this is why people don't. Oh my goodness. Okay, moving on from this. Everybody listening already knows the truth here. It's not hard to
Normal
decipher,
boomerangs suck.
except for Flying Cobras. Flying Cobras is decent because of the restraints.
So
Sidewinder has
that's
the same restraints,
Sidewinder.
but it sucks. Sidewinder has the same restraints, but it sucks. The one at Fiesta Texas isn't good. I didn't get to ride St. Louis's. I know you did. I think those are
It's
the only
awful.
ones I've done. Oh, yeah, I didn't get to ride Worlds of Fun's either.
Right, I didn't do World of Fun. Canada's Wonderlands has a single rider line. That's its redeeming quality.
Oh, okay.
What else?
And
Is
it's
there
not
another
called
one?
Boomerang.
And it's not called Boomerang. It's called, wait for it, The Bat.
Yeah, so these things,
um,
unoriginal theming, unoriginal naming, and they're rough, mainly in Vertigo. And
is there-
Flying Cobras is the only good one I've experienced.
yeah, I'm trying to think if there's another one I've done or not. I don't think so.
They just ain't good. There's one at Wild
They're just
Adventures.
not good. There is one at Wild Adventures. Chris, do you know how many Vacomas Wild Adventure has?
I think it's more than half.
It is more than half. I think it's more than half.
I Yeah, I think so.
I don't know why that's important.
I don't
Like,
know either.
eh, maybe. Uh, Was it part of some trivia game or something?
I don't know, maybe.
I feel like
Feel like
everyone got that
Marcus
right.
might have feel like Marcus and the rest of the drunk riders just really choked or something.
Yeah, I mean the rest of us were like, "Oh yeah, Wild Adventures," and they were like, Cedar Point." Hey everybody, welcome back to the Drunk Riders. My name is Marcus. I'm sitting here with Mark.
Choke job. Okay.
Y'all, it's Wild Adventures. Read it and weep. You're never living that one down.
All right. That was Wheel of Garbage for the week.
Wheel of Garbage. We'll be back next week with Vacoma Family Hanging Bangs minus Dragonflyer because that one's good.
Right.
So now we're moving on to the first guest segment of season 2. We've got Daniel from DP Coasters on Instagram. Daniel, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Jack. Thanks for having me here, Jack and Chris. It's good to be here.
Awesome. So for our audience that doesn't know you, tell us a bit about yourself. Yeah, let's start there.
Well, I am a coaster enthusiast, which makes me a good candidate to have here as a guest on this podcast. So I got into coasters after a trip with my dad back in 2006. We hit up a lot of parks that year, and from then, just progression through the coaster enthusiast community, learning and wanting to ride more, and eventually turning into a coaster photographer. I've always been interested in photography a little bit. Finally, I brought my camera to parks and got more and more invested in that. And eventually, I started an Instagram page to post my pictures, and I've developed my skills from there.
Awesome. So what's your home park? I gotta ask.
Oh yeah. So my home park is Kings Dominion. I live in Virginia. Six Flags America isn't too far away. It's a nice park. I like it. I don't dish on it as much as other people. I enjoy it. And it's also nice to have Busch Gardens a bit further past Kings Dominion, but also it's nice to have pretty close by.
All right.
Awesome.
So our next question we got: what got you into photography with coasters?
Well, photography with coasters. So, like I said there, I've always kind of been interested in photography in general. Got my first digital camera back in 2005 after 5th grade, and just took pictures of everything. Through there, that camera kind of got outdated. Grabbed my parents' camera, took that places, and eventually got my camera my own, another point and shoot camera. That one went to more and more parks with me. Then it was just taking pictures of friends and taking pictures of things, not really looking at from an artistic perspective. Got into college. Other friends had DSLR cameras, and I was like, well, I want to look cool and have a big giant camera. I had no idea what photography was, really. I just wanted a big cool camera. Picked one of those up, just took pictures, didn't really learn it. And oh gosh, then I took it to a few parks. Again, not artistically, just taking pictures of things. But it wasn't until 2018, after I really saw, I got into Instagram a lot before then. I saw people posting pictures from pages like Pursuit of Thrills, American Coaster Network, and other such noticeable pages. And I wanted to start taking pictures, and that's when I started learning the camera, learning the different settings, and from there, that's when I just started exploring how to use it at parks, and it heightened my experience at parks from just riding. Now it's riding and photography, and looking at the park from a new angle just really inspired me.
Awesome. I feel that on so many levels, doing this, having this journey on my own, because it started pretty much the same way for me. I had a little point and shoot that I got as a birthday gift, and I just took pictures randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stole my grandma's camera when we went to Kings Island. I was like, hey, I'm taking that. And then I stole my parents' camera. And then it just kind of bought my own. And then, you buy the big lens. So when you walk into a theme park, it's like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing with this. And then Six Flags Over Georgia's like, no, you can't bring that here.
Oh.
But
Six Flags.
Hey, Fiesta Texas had no issues with it whatsoever. But over Georgia, not happening.
On a brief note, I have never had a problem with my big lenses at any of the Six Flags parks per se, except for them going, oh, let's take another look at this camera bag as it goes through the x-ray machine. But after that, they're like, oh, okay, it's just a camera, not a bomb. I've never had a problem. I've heard other people have, and I'm sorry for you guys, but I don't know what it is. I've never had a problem, and thank goodness I haven't had to argue with security about that.
And it's so hit or miss, because I've taken a camera to Over Georgia before, and now granted, it was not the massive rocket launcher lens that I walk around with that, okay, I can understand why you might not want that in your park. It's a little big. But I was like, oh, so the thing about that was, I was like, okay, I'll take this lens back to the car and just bring in, I had my 18 to 55 and the 55 to 200. I was like, okay, that will be good. And they're like, no, you can't bring any of it in since it's interchangeable. Geez. I was like, and so the best part is I called someone that was in the park that I knew had an interchangeable lens. He's like, yeah, they let me in, no issues. Turns out there was an issue, but you can watch the YouTube video about that. Yeah. So anyway, okay, there's our photography. I think I've coined the name Photographers Against Over Georgia. I'm thinking about having t-shirts made.
Oh, no. Let's not dish on Over Georgia. Let's try to inspire them
I love that place.
Be more welcoming.
I think I'm going next week, so hopefully.
Oh, hopefully. Let's hope.
Hopefully I can get my camera in. If not, we'll find out. So anyway,
you have to throw it over the fence and then walk in. And then grab it later.
Just gonna toss it onto the track of what is their floor?
Or
not Batman. What is their freaking Scorcher? That's what it's called. Just toss it onto the track of Scorcher and scoop it up as I race by. Yep.
Well, when we were there, John Mike had to unlock his car to let you put your camera back in. So he walked back to Batman and unlocked his car through the fence for you to put your camera back.
Yeah, I made them go ride Batman and him get his car keys out and unlock it while he was in Batman, so I could.
That's brilliant.
It was. I was like, they don't want to make him walk out of the park because that's a pain, and what's the closest he could get to his car? Go ride Batman. I'm telling you to go ride a roller coaster so I can do something that's Anyway, so there's photography rant number 1 of the evening. Okay. So here's a story, because I know I have a couple of these of my own, but do you have a favorite, like, photography story at a park?
I- by the lack of jumping into this question readily, I don't. Nothing off the top of my head, I guess. I don't know. I've just taken pictures. I mean, I've gotten stopped once by someone to ask, like, they asked me where a ride was or something, but like, because they thought I was an employee of the park.
Have you ever been approached to, like, with a fun pics card? Like, hey, I want my picture taken here. Can you?
No, I've never had that happen to me. And like I said, I've never had security get on my case. I don't know. I guess nothing pops out with me for that question. I guess I don't know. Nah,
I
really.
definitely have been stopped multiple times at Dollywood, and because the way I dress at that park, and I have my season pass is literally on like a little ID lanyard. And so people will walk up to me like, hey, can you take my picture? And they'll like hand me their photo card, and it's like, oh, I don't work here, but I'll take your picture and email it to you, and it will be much better than whatever Dollywood will give you. But yeah. I have done that. I do that a lot. If people ask me I'll take their picture, I'll be like, yeah, what's your email? And I'll send them over to you after I edit it.
That's pretty nice. That's good.
It sounds like you've had some really good luck at parks when it comes to this.
Yes. Okay, so I was at Six Flags New England in 2018, where my photography wasn't as great at the time, and I was only saving in JPEGs, unfortunately. Besides the point, that's why you don't see many pictures of those on my channel or on my feed too much, unfortunately. But anyways, the person at Wicked Cyclone, my bad. At Wicked Cyclone, the attendant at the entrance was so very kind, and I approach everyone at entrances where there, you have to lock things in lockers. I approached them very kindly. Hey, can I go into the queue and take pictures from inside the queue? And they're like, oh yeah, go in. So lucky there, number one. Also there during that weekend that I was there, park opened up, rope drop, rushed down to Superman for first ride there, and the lockers weren't turned on at that time, or at least they weren't allowing you to buy a locker rental for the day. And so the ride attendant was like, just everyone go into the queue. Everyone take your bags, go into the queue. Don't worry about it right now. So I was like, oh, okay. So I took my bag in the queue, and I was standing there in the queue, just waiting to get on the ride. And then all of a sudden it popped in my head, like, you're standing inside the queue, take out your camera for a bit and take pictures from here where you probably won't be able to get the camera in. So yeah, I've had some really good luck. And I mean, yeah, I'm kind of bragging, but I've had some really great times at parks with cameras, and I'm really sorry for anyone else who has not had such the luck that I have had.
And I'll say this, I've only had the Six Flags Over Georgia is the only park that's ever given me a hard time about it. I've never had an issue at any other park. So that whole day is just weird. There's a lot of stuff. That day just got weirder and weirder and weirder as it went
I had a good day.
I mean, it was a good day, but some of the people in our group did not fare well at the end.
That's unfortunate to hear, because like I said, I've been to New England, Great Adventure, over Georgia where they allowed my camera in, over Texas and Fiesta, Texas, and St. Louis. Not all in the same year, but within a couple of years of each other. And Great Adventure, they put my bag through the X-ray machine, and that's where the security guy was like, hey, you down there at the security guy at the end of the conveyor belt, check that bag. They opened it up, and that's where they're like, oh, good, it's not a bomb. Like, okay, go on with your day. And then at Fiesta, Texas, not the first 2 days I brought my camera in, but my third day I brought the camera in, sent it through their X-ray machine, and they were like, opened up, like, yeah, tell us it's a camera next time before you put it through. I'm like, okay, I will. But other than that, yeah. But Six Flags overall is just really weird with their camera policies, and it seems like they're getting more and more lax. And you look at the policies on the websites, and some of those clauses about no interchangeable lens cameras and some of those other things, and like restriction on length of lenses and stuff that might have been there 3 years
disappearing.
ago. It's disappearing, but security is not being notified. And
yeah,
that's the biggest issue. Or security may or may not have been notified, but other people, security guys who have been there for years, who have had to work through that policy 10 years ago, are not completely updated on it now, or they're skeptical or whatnot. And I try not to blame the parks exactly. It's just the chain of command not distributing the command effectively. And that's where I have the issue.
It's such a hard thing too, because anytime I have some sort of issue, I always remind myself it's like, this is private property, and they do have the right to tell me not to do something, so I gotta respect that. What frustrates me most is, especially in Six Flags, is how different it can be across the spectrum. Like Fiesta Texas last weekend, walked in, no issues. 2 months ago, Dover, Georgia, it was like I was trying to walk in the place with a gun. That was the way they treated me.
It was like different answers from different security guards.
Because I was at Over Georgia in November, and I was with, and two of the friends I was with, maybe all three. Anyways, at least two of them had big funky cameras, and they went through security, and they had no issues.
It makes no sense.
Really, really, really weird and frustrating.
This is one of those topics. It always boils down to me is it's like this lack of communication will drive me up the wall. And it's one of those topics I could go on about all night. But I will say, kind of jumping back to kind of how we got here, was talking about taking your camera and cues. That's one of my favorite things to get to do, especially on rides that they normally don't allow it. Banshee pops to mind immediately.
Done that.
Orion this year, opening or preview night, they let all of us crawl around that queue with our cameras. We could get all the way into the station with our cameras if we wanted, because they were like, yeah, you paid a lot of money to be here, or you raised a lot of money to be here. So that's how I got some of my favorite shots of just head down that, or the backside of Orion's drop.
Yes. Those are some good pictures.
Those were just a ton of fun to take, because it was like, the lighting was perfect that night. It's just, boom. But taking your camera in a queue line, it's amazing how excited I'll get over that too. It's like, I can take it in there.
Yeah, right. It's like, you're going into Wonderland.
Oh, well, and that's the parks that will let you just take them in all of it. It's like, yes, thank you, I love you. Wonder Woman's queue, I had a blast last weekend.
There's some good angles from there.
Railblazer's the exact same. I could spend hours in both of those rides lines just taking pictures without actually riding them. But yeah, I'm trying to think. The only queue that I don't think I've ever actually shot in that I want to shoot in is actually Banshee, because the last time I asked when I had a decent camera, the lady shut me down. I was like, no, you can't do that. I was like, really?
Well, yeah, whenever I do that, I always try to. It's usually hopefully on a slower day, because I know, like, on a busy Saturday in the middle of the summer, I'm just not going to try, just because if the queue is pretty much full, it's just weird to do that. But I try only to do that on the slow days when the attendant knows that there's not many people in line, and it's good.
Another one that popped into my head, Twisted Timbers.
Oh yeah, I've gotten some from in there.
So
that's cool.
Here's the story with that one. I asked if I could go back there and take pictures, but I was still so new at the photography thing. I spent like too much time fumbling with my phone taking videos of my so I only have like 2 pictures from back there, and they're both awful. I need to go back to that park.
I mean, this year.
Yep, exactly. It's opening up again.
Well,
I'm planning on hitting it.
definitely planning on doing the Virginia and Maryland parks at some point this year. I still haven't been to Bush.
Ayo.
It's-
Well, hopefully they can open up the entire park at the same time this year, and that'll be good to get to. Then.
I've pretty much resigned myself till It's like when Pantheon is open, that is when I will book the trip. Until then,
it's not a bad idea to hold off until then.
mm-hmm.
I think
Love the
that's what
park,
most people
recommend
are
it, but-
doing.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of people who are doing that too, waiting to buy tickets until Pantheon is confirmed to be open. You're right on that,
Well,
Chris.
my dad and I have been pushing off a trip to Williamsburg since 2017 because every time we say we're going to go, they announce they're building something else, and we're like, oh, we'll just wait one more year. Oh, we'll wait one more year. Oh, one more. Finally, with this, we're like, no, we're biting the bullet. We'll just go back for Drakenspeyer if it ever happens.
For sure.
Okay, so we've touched on it a bit. This is something I always ask myself, like, especially recently with parks, I found myself enjoying doing pictures just as much. So what do you enjoy about taking pictures of the theme park?
I like the reactions of people. That's where what I really like. Now, I do like the architectural aspects of rides. I do like getting behind, pics from behind the trains and things like that. But it comes down to the reactions of people, the human reactions. I mean, people who might be portrait photographers on the street of New York or something, they like to capture the emotions of people working or walking or on their way to go someplace. Well, I like to capture the emotions of people on the coasters. Those are the best pictures when you got someone who's screaming their head off, terrified, or laughing their butt off because they're having such an exuberantly fun time. Those make the best photos, and whenever I take a picture and review it in my camera and I see those reactions, I'm always lit up with excitement and enjoy myself, knowing that someone else is enjoying it or they're terrified of it, so I laugh at them for being terrified. But that's where I get the most joy from the photography and being able to capture those moments and then share it on Instagram. And while I don't know those people that I just took a picture for, barring a few occasional times where at an enthusiast event where I've taken pictures of friends or something, but most of the time, 99% of the time, I have no clue who those people are. And just knowing that they are getting emotions out of coasters that I love to ride just as much as I like to take pictures of, or maybe I like to ride them more. But it's a connection, and I know that they're enjoying it for whatever reason, and I enjoy it too, and I'm glad to capture that moment of them. That's what I really like about the photography side of it.
It is so much fun. Some of my favorite pictures I've taken is the one where you've got the person that's like crazy, like going nuts, and you've got the person next to them terrified, and then there's another person acting silly. There's one picture of Tennessee Tornado that always pops to my mind because every person on that train is having a different reaction to the ride, and every single one of them just makes me laugh. And it's one of those things that you look at it, it's like, this is hilarious, and why don't it's so much fun to capture that. And one of my favorite things is every once in a while I'll get lucky and someone will find the picture later that week or that month or years down the line, be like, that's me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. Here's this, have it. You can do whatever you want with it. I love it when someone like finds themselves in one of my pictures.
That's so fun. That's cool. I've never had that happen to me.
I think
That's
I've
awesome
had
that that's happened to you.
It's happened twice. One of them was an enthusiast. I had no idea it was an enthusiast until like months later. They're like, hey, that's me. And the other one was someone random at Dollywood. It's happened once at Dollywood where like someone is like, hey, I was at Dollywood that day. Did you by chance take a picture of lightning rod at like roughly this time? It's like, yeah. And zoom in, boom, there they are in the front row.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we kind of made it through some of the questions I had written out earlier. Now we're turning it over to my lovely Instagram followers. This is a really good one, and I'm interested to hear, because I didn't know my method on it. I'm interested to hear another coaster photographer's. When you're at a park, how do you balance riding the roller coasters and the flat rides with shooting the park, getting the pictures?
All right. Well, let me address flat rides. Flat rides, I skip for the most
Yep.
part. It
I am the same
because
way.
now while there might be you have the like Kings and Minions Delirium is different than Kings Island's Delirium, which is different than the Vekoma pendulum rides at the Six Flags parks, and they're all different. One of them is my favorite, but I'll skip them. You know, I don't care about those. But if it's a unique ride that you can't find anywhere else, I'll try to get into that flat ride. All right, flat rides aside, it's mostly I focus on coasters. How do I balance that with photography? Um, I carry my camera bag with me. If a park has station bins, I put it there. It's a risk. I'm willing to take it, and I go there. I snap as I walk. If they allow me to take the camera in the queue, I snap as I wait. If they force me to lock it up, then obviously I lock it up in a locker before I ride. Um, I also try to, depending on the park, for most main parks, I try to plan 2 days at a main park, just so I have enough time to balance riding with uh, with photography. Also, the the best light is in the middle of the day. Not to say that there's good sunset shots, but the most abundant light is in the middle of the day. And so I will sacrifice riding in the day to shoot, just so that I can then ride in the evening when I'm not going to be shooting pictures. Um, so yeah, I walk and my camera is just held in my hand the entire time. I walk around. I'll take a loop around the park. Um, Stop at the next coaster, pack up the camera, come out the ride, start shooting again. Um, Also, I plan out my days. I mean, I don't like plan, but I have planned my days where I follow the sun, because the sun takes an arc around the sky, and rises in the east, sets in the west, and takes a southerly arc. So I plan where I am in the park and what I ride on my day, correlating to that arc of the sun, and so I get the best sunlight pointing in the best direction that I want. So I'm not always trying. So I don't point the camera into the sun in the morning and in the evening. So I try to.
Yep,
If that makes sense, you get that.
Yeah,
So,
I fully understand that.
yeah, so I'll plan my day like that, and I'm moving fast. I mean, I kind of have a skip and a jump. I'm by myself at a lot of parks, and so that also makes it easier for me to either a stop and wait for different trains to come by, or um, move on to another coaster whenever I want. Um, there's actually a day at Cedar Point last 2019. Goodness, these years have been mixed up recently just because of what has happened.
Yep.
Anyways,
Feel that.
2019, I went to Cedar Point, and I had 2 days there, and I looked at the weather ahead of time, and the first day was going to be dreary all day, and I said, screw it, camera just goes in the car, I'm going to ride all day, and I did that. Camera was in the car all day, I rode all day, got what I wanted, because I'd been there the year before as well, so there were some coasters I skipped, but I just spent that entire day riding, didn't have to worry about it locking anything up in lockers or anything, because I had zipper pockets, and yeah, great day riding. Day two, because I had looked at the forecast, was going to be nice and sunny, and it was a packed day at the park as well, so thank goodness I wasn't riding, or else I'd be waiting in long freaking lines. But like I said, I planned out with the sun. I had a note on my phone laid out, eight or not 8 o'clock, but like 9:30 park opens, and be here at 9:30 to ride this, and then 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock I'm going to be here to take pictures. 10:30 I'm going to be over here. 11, 11:30, 12. Like, seriously, I planned out where I was, and I constrained my time just so I worked my way around the perimeter outside the park from Magnum, around to the front gate, through the front gate, up to Valraven, over to Maverick, back to Gatekeeper. It was insane, very nerdy, but I got all the pictures I wanted, and I have some incredible angles with the right lighting. And so it depends on who you're with, because I've been to parks with friends, and while I don't take as many pictures on those days, I've spent a day with friends as well, and those memories can't be captured. So you gotta find the right balance. But what it comes down to is I'm always carrying my camera. Always carrying my camera, fingers on the switch, fingers on the trigger, ready to go. And just having an eye, knowing what you're trying to look for as well. Even at a park I've never been to, parks are very predictable in some ways in coasters. So knowing what you're looking for, finding the right angle, and stopping when you want to stop. Like, oh, this angle looks good. I'm going to stop, I'm going to take the picture, and then I'll take a little jog, catch up with my friends or something. So, yeah.
Here's a kind of, have you ever walked into a park with like a hit list? It's like, okay, these are pictures I know I want to take because I've seen this person take them. It's like, I want to copy that.
Absolutely. Especially things at Cedar Point. With Steel Bennett's opening in 2018, there's all those angles there of the Outer Bank turn and the Twisted Snake dive, to Millennium Force and its turns, to Topfield Dragster, and getting it coming down off the backside, but also panning its launch. And actually, in 2018, when I visited Cedar Point, I learned how to pan by standing in the stands there, the grandstand at the launch. I stood there for over an hour, dialing in panning. I processed that in my head. How do I pan? What settings? And I dialed it in, and I panned for the first time there. That's how I learned. Trial and error for like over an hour now. And but yeah, I got it. And yeah.
I learned to pan on Lightning Rod's brake run, standing in the queue for hours and just getting it coming through that brake run.
Yep.
I can pan Lightning Rod's brake run, no issues now, because I've done it 400 or 500 times. You bring up Millennium and Dragster. I've been to Cedar Point. I went in 2016. I didn't do photography back then, so I didn't take any pictures. 2018 we were there, and I was just getting into the whole photography thing. I hadn't even started my Twitter page at that point. Barely spent any time shooting. So I've only got like 5 pictures of Millennium Force from in the park. Every time I go to Cedar Point, I tell myself, go take pictures of Millennium Force. Go take pictures of Millennium Force. And then I get distracted by doing something else. So Millennium Force and Dragster, we're going this summer for like 3 or 4 days. There is a day that's marked out called Millennium Force and Dragster Day. And I'm just going to spend the entire day copying every amazing picture I've ever seen of those rides. And yeah.
Nice.
But I bring up the hit list because I definitely walked into Kennywood this summer with a giant hit list. Magic Mountain, I had literally like a notes thing on my phone of like, these are pictures I want to take. I'm not willing to admit out loud how long I stood in that parking lot waiting for the Twisted Colossus duel to happen. It was multiple hours. I think I spent like an hour each day we were at Magic Mountain standing in that parking lot, and it was as I was giving up on our third and final day at Magic Mountain, as I was giving up, it happened.
Oh.
I dang near got hit by a Six Flags tram bus making it happen.
Oh man. But you
But
got
then
the
I
picture.
told,
That's what's worth
but
it.
that's what I told my dad. Like, it was worth it. I don't care. It's like I have that picture now. Don't ever gotta try to make it happen again. But yeah, I used to even I'll show up to Dollywood some days with a hit list to find out the lighting's gonna be good. And that okay. Here's another. I keep thinking like random things. So when you go to your home parks, do you find yourself taking more pictures than riding, or vice versa?
Um, 2018, 2019 is when I was there at King's Dominion. Um, so okay, 2017 was when I got a car, and I went down to King's Dominion. I wasn't into photography. I went down there like for 10 weeks straight, in the summer, and I'd only go. I'd get to the park at opening, and I would stay till it opened at 10, and I'd stay till about maybe 2 o'clock. One or two of those days, I stayed till like 5 or 6. But those days were always short. I went in, I rode things, I went home. And then when I got into photography in 2018, I didn't go to Kings Dominion as much in 2018 or 19 as I did in 17. But the days I spent at the park with my camera, I spent all day because I had something to fill my time. Not that I'm not saying it became boring at the park, but it was just I had already written everything. I loved Volcano and Intimidator and Dominator and everything else, but the photography, like I've alluded to, just adds another layer to the park experience. And so it opened up a whole new vision for going to King's Dominion. And I guess to answer this question is that I find myself then balanced between riding and photography at King's Dominion.
Okay.
Just because I had written everything so much that being able to capture everything now, it provided something else to do, another activity. So I spent as much time riding, I guess, as I kind of would have back in 2017 on those short days. But because the day was infused with photography, I spent an entire day at the park.
Yeah, I understand that a lot with Dollywood because I started going to Dollywood in 2015. I didn't go a lot in 2015. 2016, I went almost every. If Lightning Rod was running that weekend, we went. We pretty much made it happen that year. So if like Lightning Rod's running, we had it so we could drop of a hat, drive up there and ride it because who knows when it was gonna run again.
That's right.
That's how I ended up that year like 50 rides on it because we literally just had notifications like for hashtag Lightning Rod. If someone tweeted Lightning Rod is open, we drove up there. But since I got into photography in 2018, really started getting into it in 2019, I just kept finding myself. I'll go up there after work on a Saturday for 5 or 6 hours, ride Lightning Rod 3 or 4 times, walk the whole park, shoot, maybe ride Thunderhead and Eagle because you've ridden everything.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm 250 something rides on Rod. I've got 300 plus on Eagle and Tornado at this point. So it's like I've ridden them 1,000. I mean, collectively, I think I've ridden every roller coaster in that park more than 1,000 times all combined. It's like, let's shoot because it changes every single day, and with every festival and season, there's something new to add to my photos.
That's right. That's right. Or you find that new angle, or especially in the transition of the seasons where the fall doesn't have as many leaves, so you can shoot through trees, or like you said, the different festivals and the lighting that comes with the festivals, or even the decorations that come with the festivals. Just it adds another layer to a photo. You might have taken the same picture, 100 times, but you add a pumpkin in front of it. It's a new picture.
And it has that little more pop because there's something else to look at.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so it's nice being able to take the camera and find everything. And as the park changes over the years, new pathways change or buildings come down or whatnot, you can get new angles. Yeah, and look at the park in a different way.
And there, you keep saying new angles, and there's not a better feeling in the world than going to your home park, where you know every single angle, and finding that new one is like, this is awesome. No one's seen this before. Like, what the best example I have is when they opened Wildwood Grove up, and I got to spend the morning back there. As like Mystery Mine and Eagle and Dragonfly. It's like, this is amazing, and
Oh yeah.
it's like that picture didn't exist last year. Now it's something I can take every single time I'm here, and it changes all of the time because of the festivals. But
That's
so
right.
okay, we just spent a lot of time on that question. So this is a here we go with some of the crazy stuff. What is your third least favorite jelly bean flavor? And this comes from State Line Thrills. Alex, I don't know what you're thinking.
Alex. I don't eat jelly beans too much. I don't know. Probably one of those stinky Bernie Bott's ones.
Yeah,
I
here's how
don't
the
know.
list goes.
Sorry,
Here's how it
I
goes
don't have
for
a good
me.
answer.
Cherry, I don't care about anything else.
It's just got to be one of the bad spin the wheel, whatever it is.
Oh, one of those. Yeah, I've seen those things. Yeah. Ugh.
Bean Boozled.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
not good.
Oh,
It's just one of those.
Yeah,
there's
I'll
no
pass on
set order.
vomit or spit or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
okay.
well,
This next, yeah, Chris, I'll let you go. I've been talking.
Well, we already covered this one. When did you become an enthusiast? So let's see. Thoughts about
okay, I can explain that more if you want. Go
sure.
into it. So yeah, like I said, 2006, my dad took me on a roller coaster trip, and so yeah, we hit up his home park, or his childhood home park of Conneaut Lake in Pennsylvania. Took me to Cedar Point for the first time. That's when, oh my gosh, my eyes were just wide open. Like, we drove down the causeway, and you see Cedar Point on the side there. It's like, whoa, look at that skyline. Then the causeway, there's a bunch of trees that come up, and then you take a bend around, and next thing I know, these coasters are just rising, just boom, right up in front of me. And that just like, wow, it was crazy. From there up to Chicago, went to Six Flags Great America, and after that went down to Paramount's Kings Island on the way home, and also during that summer we had gone to Hershey Park, Kings Dominion, Paramount's Kings Dominion at the time, Six Flags America, then gone to Six Flags Great Adventure, and then later on in the fall went to Paramount's Kings Dominion for their Halloween haunt. But after that year, I was just totally mesmerized by coasters, and so yeah, that's what really got me into it.
All right.
You mentioned the causeway. Now I'm just flashing back to my first time going down that causeway, and you just look off up to that left, and it's just
incredible. It's unbelievable.
It's such an amazing feeling, and you can't help but ask yourself the first time you see Dragster Millennium Force just off in the distance. It's like, what have I gotten myself into?
How? Why? What? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's such an, and then so that first time we went, my dad and I were like all out. Let's do the VIP gold tour, 8 hours of walking up an exit ramp and sitting down on the very next train. That's one of the craziest days we've ever spent at the park. Literally, they walk you up the exit ramp of the Millennium Force. It's like, okay, what road do you want? Plop you down, roll into the load station, and you just have to sit there while that person that's waited 3 hours on Labor Day weekend to ride Millennium Force is just staring at you. And it's like, awkward. But, and then every trip since then, we've picked up the trick of parking back at the resort gate and coming in that way and just driving around the
quiet down there, Jack.
None of you heard that. But you know, you driving next to Millennium and Maverick and Steel Vengeance and walking under Magnum on the way in. Yep. Yeah, all of you continue to park in front of Gatekeeper. It is so pretty. Just stop there. There's nothing else to see.
Absolutely.
Or if you're going to go any farther, park at the Valraven Gate, because again, beautiful brown track to look at.
Oh yeah.
Okay, where did I lost the questions? There's the questions. Okay, thoughts on Conda for Wallaby, Belgium?
Oh, I'm absolutely excited to hear
Yeah.
those reviews. Okay, well, it does have the non-inverting cobra roll, which I think is just really weird, but it's one of those things where you can't judge a coaster before it opens, before you've ridden it. And while it looks really weird, the rest of the coaster, other than that, looks great, and the videos do look like it is going through that element pretty well, and I have no doubt that it will be fun and unique. And I'm glad to see more Intamins being made. As well, Europe has a whole lot of them the past 5 years, but still, hopefully that then translates to America getting more. I mean, we have Pantheon and we have Velocicoaster. We have Sandy's Bucking Bronco Blasting Coaster or whatever it's called of Nickelodeon Universe. So we are getting more, but it's good. Yeah, Conda looks great. I love the theme. I love the whole
The trains look amazing.
The train and the station, yeah, and I love the stylization of it all. It looks great.
That is
With
right.
the
We have talked about a lot.
Yes, we covered that construction. With the non-inverting Cobra roll, I've just resigned myself to thinking that they presented one where it was just a true Cobra roll, and Wallaby Belgium was like, "It's great, but can you make it not go upside down?" And Intamin, instead of hitting
They just twisted
turning
them.
it into
yeah.
they literally went into No Limits 2, and they took those two roll nodes
and
instead
just
of
hit
making
0, 0, 0.
Yeah, they just hit 0 where where it was 180, they just hit 0. It's like, how's this working? Wallaby was like, yes.
That's pretty
Give it
much
to me.
probably what happened. Yeah, when you're starting to create a track in No Limits and it just does these weird funky things without any nodes, they probably just said, "Yep, that's how it's going to look."
Good.
And
Yep.
Wallaby was like, "Well, it doesn't invert, so okay."
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
pretty much was my thoughts. Oh, this next one. This is
Okay, this is a question that we've debated a lot. Is Orion a Giga?
I would say yes. I think it's more important to look at. Okay, yes, okay. I've had this discussion before. I'm just finally regaining what I've used to argue. Sorry. All right, so yes, Orion is a Giga. It's better to look at the drop length than the height. Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, has a 200 and something foot drop. I'm sorry, I don't know that exact statistic, but it has a 200 and something foot drop. It is 170 or 180 feet tall, yet it is the first hypercoaster and is still considered that. Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia is a hypercoaster, yet the first drop is 100 and something feet tall or long. I mean, it doesn't even go down 200. It doesn't even reach 190 feet on that first drop. Yet it has always been considered a hypercoaster, just because of its height. But it sits on a hill, so it's hard to figure out exactly those measurements. But it sits on top of a hill, so I don't think the lift hill is quite 200 feet tall. Anyways, it might be the total from the bottom of the down at the lake to the top.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, so yes, Orion is a Giga. Also, look back at the original hypercoaster Magnum XL200 with a 195.5 foot drop. You're going to consider that a hyper or not? It's a hypercoaster. There's a bit of a, I'm going to say there's a bit of a, and from my perspective, which I was influenced by another enthusiast who convinced me on this basically, but there's some variance. Magnum is 205 feet tall, but it has a 195 foot drop. Yet we still consider it a hypercoaster, even though it doesn't drop 200 feet. So there's a little bit of leeway in that drop length, I think. But that's for full circuit coasters. I'm not going to get into shuttle coasters and things like that reach different heights. That's a whole other discussion on whether they're hyper giga or strata or whatnot. But I'll just end it there with full circuit classifications for me.
I agree. My thing has always been, doesn't matter to me as long as either the drop or the height is 200, then it'll be a hyper, or 300, it'll be a giga. That's how I've always seen it.
So the way so we did a whole episode on this last season called "Is Orion a Giga Coaster?" We got the drunk riders on, and we had a full on like debate over it. It was entertaining. The way I think I put it that night was, it looks like a Giga, it feels like a Giga, it rides like a Giga. It's a Giga.
For sure. And some of that feeling, I haven't ridden Orion, but some of that feeling and look, I'm sure, just comes from the fact that it is so very close to that 300-foot threshold of height, and it does have the 300-foot drop, and that influences the rest of the feeling of the layout. And because those elements are larger, because it reaches 90-mile-per-hour speeds, it's got that Giga aspect to it, influence.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, but it's shorter than Fury, and it's like, you can't tell a difference unless you're there. Unless you figure out a way to transport Fury right behind Orion, so I can see their lift tilts right next to each other. You can't tell a difference.
Oh yeah, Well, Intimidator 305 will probably look taller against Millennium Force just for the fact of how those drops and everything look, because Intimidator doesn't have any structure. Also, that first drop is steeper, and the radius on the top of the hill is a lot sharper than Millennium Force. So, while Millennium Force is 5 feet taller, Intimidator would probably look taller just in comparison. But they both ride like Gigas in their own ways, and I'm sure, again, that's what Orion feels like when you're riding. So
Orion is the best of Leviathan and Fury put together. It's not as good as Fury, but it's got the best of Leviathan and some of the best of Fury in one ride. That's how I've racked it up in my head.
I've heard it's a great coaster, and so I'm just excited to ride it whenever I get to it. And yeah, I'm glad that they were able to make it happen there at that park at Kings Island.
It's a ton of fun.
It wasn't what people wanted it to be in, like Fury 2.0, but
yeah, it's not Fury 3.3. Yeah, Fury 325 2.0. And yeah, okay, from an enthusiast standpoint, would have been amazing, but it's a great ride, and it's probably the best. Well, I don't know. It's one of the best themed Cedar Fair coasters, so that adds to the experience. I really enjoy it. I don't know why people get so up in arms about it. It's like, it's a Giga coaster. Shut up. I'd understand if they gave you a kiddie coaster. Say that to
Marcus's face, Jack. Say that to Marcus's face.
I will. On Thursday night when I crash their podcast and remind them that Wild Adventures exist, I will.
I mean, we're tangenting.
So last night when we played trivia with a bunch of people last night, and the drunk riders lost because they forgot how many Vekomas Wild Adventure has.
Everybody else got it within like 20 seconds, because the question was, what U.S. park has more than half of their lineup as Vekomas? Everybody got it within like 30 seconds, and they took probably 6 or 7 minutes and just didn't get it, and it lost them the whole game.
It was great.
It was fantastic.
It was really great.
Okay. Let's move on.
What was next? I keep losing my show notes.
Okay. This one is from Inside Great Adventure. Jersey Devil Coaster or the original Raptor clones?
I haven't ridden Jersey Devil.
Well, nobody has.
I can't speak to it.
Right, we were just talking about this.
I've ridden Wonder Woman.
Yep.
It looks absolutely it is absolutely fantastic. I have ridden it. Jersey Devil looks fantastic in what it does. I don't think that mid-course break will be of any issue whatsoever to the pacing or the feel of the ride. I don't think the fact that it's going to have like an 89-degree drop instead of a 9-degree drop will also impact it. It's still going to be incredible. I think so. Having remembered seeing all the Railblazer and Wonder Woman promo videos, animations, and how the actual real life coaster just is like 10 times faster than the animations.
Yeah.
I think it's probably predictably safe to say that the animations we have seen for Jersey Devil will also likely be very similar in the fact that it will be so much faster than you think, the 12-car trains will also just fly through the course.
Backseat.
And
It's going to be nasty.
like I said, I can't exactly compare them right now because I haven't ridden Jersey Devil, as no one has. But I think between the two, I don't know. I think they're both going to be great. I can't pick one right now, really.
Yeah, I've said my opinion about Wonder Woman on the show before, and that is, it's kind of overhyped because it's almost too much with that restraint system, in my opinion. And the reason why I think I will personally like Jersey Devil better, which, nobody's ridden it, I haven't ridden it, so I can't say yet, but that would be my prediction, is that it's a little more drawn out and it's less transitions, more just straight airtime. So I think I'll like it more just because it's going to be less on the shoulders and all that with the restraint system, or like less transitioning, whipping into the neck and all that. And the
Less
pacing probably
lateral
won't be a little
motion.
too much. So we'll see.
I can understand the perspective. Yeah, I get it. So yeah, hopefully that works out for you because I love Wonder Woman, but you're
I
not the
like
first person you're not the first person to have negative reviews or less than overhyped views of Wonder Woman. So you're not the first person to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely, and I've always heard there's restraints that people don't like. So if Jersey Devil makes you like a raptor, it's great. I hope that makes you like a raptor. I hope that's great for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I've heard that they did redesign those restraints.
Yep, that's true as well.
So that I think they, the placement of some of those straps and things. So hopefully that also assists with you liking it, you and everyone else liking it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I've ridden both Raptors that are currently operating. I love both of them. I lean towards Railblazer just a tad bit more because I thought it's a little smoother and slightly less aggressive, which makes it just that much more enjoyable. But they're both phenomenal. I'm going to reserve judgment until after I've ridden Jersey Devil, mainly because I like the twisty layout of the originals, but I'm open to the out and back. So I'm going to reserve judgment until after I've ridden it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like GCI, because GCI always did those twisted layouts, and then you had Prowler, and then Mystic Timbers as well. And when they first announced Prowler, I was like, but they do twisted layouts. Why are they doing out and back? But
Prowler's insane.
They can do out and back layouts. And so that goes to show that even RMC can do one as well, probably.
Yeah.
I have confidence.
Yeah, just don't touch Voyage or Shivering Timbers. No arm seeing those two rides. You can name any other out and back roller coaster, you can. Yeah, just don't touch Voyage. Don't touch Shivering Timbers.
Don't touch Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah, don't touch Ghost Rider either. I'll throw a hissy fit. Okay, here's another photography question.
All right.
From Zach, Amusement Central. What makes a photo perfect?
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So yourself. That's the best answer I got.
Yeah, we all have like that favorite photo we've taken.
Yeah, we all do, or we have that collection of different photos as well. Now there is some photography principles that assist in making a picture better than better. It's all subjective because it's all it's art. It's all subjective. But there are certain photography aspects that can enhance a photo or allow it to appeal to more people, whether that be in better editing skills or in composition. So using those to help, again, perfect, but it's all subjective, but perfect your photography. But so that's the best way I can say it in no definite terms because of photography not being definitive. But that's the best way I can say it.
Yeah, I agree with that because you can get your basics down, get your framing and composition down, get your lighting down, understand camera settings. You can all the technical stuff. You get that down, your pictures are going to be closer to perfect. But there's even things like for instance, there's a lot of people that really like taking pictures of Kumba, and to them that's like a perfect coaster to photograph, and pictures of that are perfect. I don't really care for taking pictures of Kumba because I think it's kind of boring to photograph. And so I don't see any pictures of Kumba really as being perfect because I don't think it's a great ride to photograph. And it's just one of those things. But like, there are other people, like I said, that love taking pictures of Kumba. And I'll be honest, the day I did take pictures of Kumba, the lighting was awful, and I had to work with some really crappy stuff to make anything look decent. But really, I think it all boils back down to what you said at the beginning. It's in the eye of the beholder. It's rare you get that collective, like, bunches of people are like, yes, this is amazing. That's a rare thing. If you get a photo that does that, you did something right with it.
You're never going to get 100%. But yeah, like I said, there are certain photography principles and techniques that will allow your photo to appeal to more people. And it depends on what you're photographing and what you're trying to capture, because there are going to be some photos where you're like, this is a really great photo that I like, but not enough people are going to care for it. Like light trails. You post a picture of light trails or a long exposure on Instagram, you're going to get 2 likes that day. But you post a picture of Steel Vengeance's sign with the train dropping down off the first drop, and you're going to get lots of pictures, even though that picture's been posted hundreds of times. It's a photo that appeals to more people versus the light trails, which don't appeal. But a light trail photo I absolutely love and mesmerized by. So, you can't take likes on Instagram for whether it's perfect or not, but there are also different aspects to utilize to make your photo just
I've
be a better
already
photo in general.
fully registered the fact in my head that I'm going to probably lose multiple days of my life to taking pictures of Velocicoaster at night.
Oh boy.
Yep. It's like, I already know I'm gonna be there with a tripod for hours. But that you bring up that, which is one of my pet peeves with Instagram, is I'll post a picture of Cedar Point, 400 or 500 likes. I post a picture of Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, which is what I did yesterday, 100 likes, even though, in my opinion, the picture is 1,000 times better than any of the Cedar Point stuff I've posted. And it just shows, it's like, in our community, Cedar Point's going to appeal, and other stuff is like, it's cool. It's not, yeah.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
All right. So we have one last listener question, and then a couple of really short, just closing out questions.
Do you want to do it?
Sure. So it's from an anonymous sender. We have no idea who it was from. That is, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
That's a very good question.
It's a really good question.
The answer is 700 pounds.
700
Is that a fact?
pounds.
It's kind of a fact. So
okay, there's a story behind this. I want to hear it.
Well, okay. I submitted that. I submitted that question.
What?
There we
You
go.
did?
What?
I submitted that question at the last moment.
Oh, I
was
see it now. It does say
this.
our esteemed guest on it. That's how I...
So after I submitted it, I was like, shoot, I should look this up. So a quick Google search, and the first thing that pops up is an article, and it gives a snippet from it where some researcher found that a woodchuck, when it burrows, will move 35 cubic feet of dirt when it burrows. They measured it, so taking the weight of 35 cubic feet of dirt is 700 pounds. So if a woodchuck were to put its efforts from chucking dirt into chucking wood, it could chuck 700 pounds of wood.
That's
I
amazing.
appreciate you putting in the effort to find the answer as well.
That's great. You know, we might just make this a standard question every time a guest comes on. We're just gonna ask them that and see
Find
what
out
they
who
come up.
listens and who doesn't.
Or if like we hear the sound of like someone furiously googling away real quick, it's like, oh, that's a great 700 pounds. There you go. Oh, that's great.
Oh,
When you put it in there, I'm gonna be honest. My first reaction is great. One of us is gonna have to try to say that on the show without screwing it up.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
So
Let's
okay,
close this out.
we've had an hour of this already. So okay, we ask 2 questions of every guest, and then there's one question we always ask when we have photographers on. So first question is, what is your favorite park?
It depends on what I'm looking for. Mostly, okay, I guess go to is Cedar Point. Cedar Point. But I do love Holiday World, and I do love Dollywood. For the family aspect of Holiday World and for the theming aspect of Dollywood. So.
All good answers. Okay. Then we have favorite coaster.
The Voyage, hands down.
Yep.
That's a
Coaster,
common one.
Volcano, the Blast Coaster.
I was there the first time you rode Voyage.
Yes, you were. Oh my.
That was a great
goodness.
night.
Oh. Gosh. Only a few more months.
Yes, son. Okay, you want the story with this?
Sure.
So my high school graduation is the same day as Hollywood Nights. So Jack has a plan. The graduation is like at 9 a.m. So I'm gonna go to graduation, and I'm gonna walk, and I'm gonna do the whole thing, and then I'm gonna get in my car in my cap and gown, or possibly a plane, and get to Holiday World in time for ERT and ride the Voyage in my cap and gown.
Yes. Yes.
And
So you're
been
in
talking to
Knoxville, right?
someone. Yep.
Okay, so when I went to Holiday World for my first time, I drove from Dollywood up to Louisville to pick up a friend at the airport at 10 a.m. And so I left Pigeon Forge at before 5 a.m. I was exhausted that night at Holiday World afterwards. Man. But anyways, yes, you can make it up from if graduation ends at 5 p.m. or something, before 5 p.m., 4 p.m., you can make it, because I've done that drive.
So it's on so I'll only be there on Saturday, because their graduation is that Saturday morning. So I'm only going to be there for Saturday night ERT.
All right, better than nothing.
But we've talked to, we're either going to drive, or we have some friends that are going that are talking about flying their plane up. And it's like, okay, just stop in Knoxville, pick us up in your plane, and we can really make some good time getting there.
That'd be great.
But I've already decided, because we get to decorate our caps, and so I'm going to put Holiday World or Bust on top of mine.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
Get
So
some hair clips. Get some hair
clips
clips so you can clip it on, so you can ride it.
Hair clips or chin strap or something. I'm gonna figure out a way, but I'm riding Voyage in my cap and gown that night.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun.
It feels. There needs to be some documentation of this too. It's gonna be front row. I need someone with me going over that twisted hill with the tassel just sticking straight up in the air from the air.
Yes, make it happen.
We will. Yeah. So that's gonna be Hollywood Nights for me this year, but I'm so freaking ready. I need that coaster back in my life. Okay. And now for the question that makes every photographer groan when I ask, what is your favorite roller coaster to take pictures of?
Gotta say Gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper. Okay, that's a new one.
I love the twisting aspect of those winged trains. The articulation you get. Pair that with a blue sky against the blue track, and you have the trains are slightly different shaded in color, but they all have a goldish reddish hue, and they sparkle. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, when you get the right lighting, like I said, with a blue sky and the blue track with the gold, it just pops. That's what I love that, and I love the articulating of the trains. Those are just some of my favorite pictures to look at, and just the motion you get from it.
That's another ride I need to spend more time taking pictures of.
Go outside the park. That's a
So
Like, you can get some good
I've
stuff inside, but you got to walk around the perimeter.
I've done it, but this is 2018. Didn't really know what I was doing with a camera back then.
Mm.
So like I've got some of the really good ones because I went down there where you can look at it coming out of the keyholes, and I've got stuff from down there, but little 15-year-old Jack didn't know what autofocus was, and
Yikes.
they're all blurry. So
Yeah.
okay, I'll be honest. I go back through that Cedar Point folder all the time, hoping and praying that I've missed something in there that's good. And that was another random thing that I used to not like know how to edit, so I didn't. It's like, okay, that looks good enough out of camera, but I'd take 400 pictures at the park. I'd only use like 4 from that day because only 4 looked good out of the camera. When I learned to edit, it's like, oh, I took 300 good photos that day. Those can all go in Lightroom to be edited, and
Yeah, that's right. A good editor, especially when you're taking pictures in raw format, and a good editor with raw format photos, and you can bring out the detail. If you took a picture a little bit too dark, you can bring that out just a bit.
Just
boom,
slide that
it
shadows up, pull the exposure a bit.
That's right. Like, it can pull a picture out from something you thought might not have been great to something that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been dealing with that a lot, trying to work through all my Fiesta Texas stuff from last weekend. We had gray skies the entire time we were there. It's like, I don't not want to shoot this park just because the skies are gray.
Mm-hmm.
Time to put those editing skills to work and at least make that gray look white.
That's right. That's right. You try to work with what you got, and hopefully you can pull something out.
Although I will never say no to a blue sky, white fluffy clouds day. Like, just bottle that and just be able to just pour that into the sky anytime I walk into a park. Yep, be perfect. So that's the other thing is I refuse to do sky replacements. I will not do it.
That's okay. That's fine. That's your artistic style, and I'm not. All right, another tangent here.
Yep, here we go.
There are photographers who do sky replacement, and I don't have a problem with it as long as it looks good. As long as it looks believable, they match colors and shading and direction of lighting and all, right?
Yep.
Because, once again, it is a piece of artwork. They are, they're making something that they want. Just going in and editing a photo in and of itself is, just enhancing different colors and stuff and hues and shadows and things. It's already messing with the photo, so why can't you put a sky in? So, anyways, that's a tangent.
Yeah.
If you want to put in a sky, make it look believable. I'm cool with that. It's your piece of artwork. If you don't want to put in a sky, I don't do it. If you want, don't put in a sky. That's okay. Make your picture look as good as you can make it. And that goes for the people who like to, edit 2 or 3 trains onto the same track. Okay, so why can't someone edit in the sky as well? You're not gonna have. It's not believable to have 2 or 3 trains on the same track at the same time. So that picture is just as believable as editing in a fake, quote unquote, fake sky.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have no problems with people doing that. That's I'm getting off my soapbox right there.
Oh yeah. So the big thing, because I don't have an issue with sky replacements. I've played around with it before. The big thing that drives me nuts is when I can tell immediately. Okay, this is a very random thing that will drive me nuts. Is if you do a sky replacement and it's like, oh, I put a sunset in, the sun would never be able to set there. Like, I'm not. There's one that comes to mind of a picture. I won't say it, but there was one roller coaster. I was like, the sun would never set there because that's the north, and the sun would set over there, and that's there's no way the sun is setting there. And I just spent too much time staring at it because I was like, what? Because at first I believed it because it was a good sky replacement. Then it's like, how is that photo even possible? And then it's like, oh, that's not physically possible unless the universe just flipped for a half second. But and there is beauty in like a good sky replacement because there are days where the sky is awful and It's like there's like put through a different sky back there. It's a great photo.
Yeah.
But I've always been a person. It's like, okay, if it's gray and overcast, if you're shooting raw, you can always get that gray sky to look white-ish, and that's always what I just go for.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad style. I've tried that, on some of my gray photos too.
I have really bad luck. I love to go to parks on gray sky days, and it kills me because I hate going to a park without a camera. But I love going to the park when the parks are dead, and that oftentimes means it's going to rain and be gray and cloudy when I go. So it's like... Yeah.
All right.
Well, this has been awesome. So go ahead and tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at DP.Coasterphotos. Yeah, that's where I really post. I mean, I do have a Twitter, which I forget the handle of, but I don't post much on there. So just go follow me on Instagram, DP.Coasterphotos.
Gotcha. All right. And our last things just to close out the show. Shout out to our patrons, Jaden from Peninsula of Thrills and Bryant from Coaster 365. And the very last thing. March 20th, I believe, is the date. Lagoon opening day. Trip announcement. I will be there. If anybody's in the area wants to hang out, let me know. But yes, I will be at Lagoon opening day. And I think that does it.
I mean, I got a trip announcement too. For some reason, you're going skiing in Lake Tahoe over Easter. Hit me up. But yeah. So that's pretty much it. Daniel, thank you again for joining us. We will see y'all next week.
Thanks for listening to the Twisted Travelers Podcast.